Hello, everyone, and welcome. Today, I want to share a deeply emotional story about love, pain, family, and hope. It is the story of a boy who believed he had lost everything after his mother passed away. When his father remarried, he hoped to find love again. Instead, he found loneliness, fear, and a home that no longer felt like home. But sometimes, the darkest moments lead us to the brightest endings. So sit back, relax, and listen to the story. My stepmother hated me. My name is Ethan, and I was 12 years old when my life changed forever. Before everything happened, my world was simple. I lived with my mother and father in a small, peaceful town. My mother was kind and loving. She always hugged me before school and reminded me that no matter what happened, I should never stop being a good person. Then one cold winter morning, she became very sick. Within a few months, she was gone. Losing her felt like losing the light in my life. My father was heartbroken, and so was I. Our house became quiet, and every room reminded us of her. A year later, my father met a woman named Linda. She was polite, smiled often, and everyone said she would bring happiness back into our lives. I wanted to believe them. I wanted a family again. But after the wedding, everything changed. When my father was home, Linda acted caring and gentle. The moment he left for work, her smile disappeared. She gave me all the housework, blamed me for things I had never done, and spoke to me with cold, hurtful words. No matter how hard I tried to make her happy, nothing was ever enough. I stayed quiet because I loved my father and did not want to make his life harder. Every night, I sat beside my mother's old photograph and whispered that I missed her. I kept hoping tomorrow would be different. I did not know that this was only the beginning of a journey that would test my courage, my kindness, and my belief that love can survive even the deepest pain. Life became harder with each passing day, and I slowly stopped feeling like a member of my own family. Every morning, Linda woke me up before sunrise and handed me a long list of chores while other children were still sleeping. I cleaned the house, washed the dishes, took out the trash, and mowed the lawn before I even left for school. If I made the smallest mistake, she would shout at me and tell me I was lazy or useless. When my father came home in the evening, she acted like the perfect wife. She smiled, served dinner, and even told him how proud she was of me. My father believed every word because he never saw the person she became when he was away. Whenever I tried to tell him the truth, Linda would interrupt or make me look like I was simply upset because I missed my mother. Slowly, my father stopped asking questions, and I stopped trying to explain. School became my only safe place. My teachers noticed that I looked tired, and my best friend Noah often shared his lunch because Linda sometimes sent me to school without enough food. I smiled and thanked him, but deep inside, I felt completely alone. Every night, I lay awake wondering why someone who was supposed to care for me seemed to hate me so much. I kept asking myself what I had done wrong, but no matter how hard I searched for an answer, I found only silence. I still believed that if I worked harder, behaved better, and never complained, maybe one day Linda would finally accept me as part of the family. Unfortunately, that day never came, and the worst was still waiting just around the corner. One Saturday, my father had to leave town for a 2-day business trip. And the moment his car disappeared down the street, Linda's behavior became even colder. She told me that I was not allowed to watch television, use my phone, or even sit down until every chore in the house was finished. I spent hours cleaning windows, washing clothes, and scrubbing the kitchen floor until my hands became red and sore. That evening, I accidentally dropped a glass while putting the dishes away. It shattered on the floor, and before I could apologize, Linda started yelling at me. She called me careless and said I ruined everything I touched. Then she ordered me to skip dinner as punishment and sent me to my room. My stomach growled through the night, but the pain in my heart was even worse. Sitting on my bed, I looked at the old photo of my mother that I kept hidden inside a book. Tears rolled down my face as I whispered, "Mom, I wish you were here." I don't know how much longer I can do this. For the first time, I wondered if I should leave home forever. But I was only 12 years old, and the world outside seemed frightening and unknown. The next morning, things became even worse when Linda accused me of breaking one of her favorite vases, even though I had never touched it. When my father returned that evening, she cried and told him I had become rude, careless, and dishonest. My father looked disappointed and grounded me without listening to my side of the story. As he walked away, I realized that the one person I trusted most no longer believed me, and in that heartbreaking moment, I felt more alone than ever before. The days that followed were the hardest I had ever known. My father barely spoke to me because he believed everything Linda told him. I wanted to explain the truth, but every time I opened my mouth, fear stopped me. I was afraid he would think I was lying again. At school, my grades began to fall because I could not concentrate. My teacher, Mrs. Carter, noticed that I looked tired and unhappy. One afternoon, she asked if everything was all right at home. I forced a smile and said I was fine, but she looked at me with kind eyes that seemed to understand I was hiding something. When I returned home, Linda was already waiting for me. She had found the old photo of my mother in my room. Holding it in her hand, she said I needed to stop living in the past and accept that she was now the woman of the house. Before I could take the picture back, she threw it into a drawer and slammed it shut. My heart broke. That photograph was the only thing I had left of my mother. Late that night, after everyone had gone to sleep, I quietly opened the drawer and held the picture close to my chest. Looking at my mother's gentle smile gave me the strength to keep going. I made a promise to myself that no matter how badly I was treated, I would never become a cruel person. I would hold on to kindness, even when kindness was not shown to me. But I did not know that someone had just begun to notice the truth, and everything was about to change in a way none of us expected. A few days later, something unexpected happened that changed everything. My father came home from work much earlier than usual because an important meeting had been canceled. Linda did not know he was back. She was standing in the kitchen, shouting at me because I had not finished cleaning the living room fast enough. She grabbed the broom from my hands and told me that I would never be good enough for anyone. I lowered my head and stayed silent, just as I always did. At that exact moment, my father walked through the front door and heard every word. He stopped in the hallway without making a sound. For the first time, he saw the fear on my face and the anger in Linda's eyes. She quickly changed her expression when she noticed him, but it was too late. My father looked shocked and asked her why she was speaking to me that way. Linda tried to laugh and said she was only teaching me discipline, but my father had already heard enough. He turned to me and gently asked, "Ethan, has this been happening all this time?" Tears filled my eyes. I wanted to stay quiet like always, but I could not carry the pain any longer. With a trembling voice, I finally told him everything. The long hours of chores, the missed meals, the false accusations, and the lonely nights when I cried myself to sleep. My father listened without interrupting, and as he realized how much I had suffered, tears appeared in his own eyes. He understood that while he thought he was rebuilding our family, his son had been living in fear every single day. That night, my father and Linda talked for hours behind a closed door while I sat quietly in my room, not knowing what would happen next. The next morning, my father knocked softly on my door and asked if we could go for a walk together. As we sat on a bench in a nearby park, he looked at me with tears in his eyes and said, "Ethan, I'm so sorry. I should have listened to you." I was so busy trying to believe everything was fine that I forgot to see how much you were hurting. Hearing those words made me cry because they were all I had wanted to hear for so long. My father hugged me tightly and promised that he would never ignore my feelings again. When we returned home, he told Linda that the way she had treated me was unacceptable. She tried to defend herself at first, but when she saw how deeply she had hurt both of us, she became silent. She admitted that after marrying my father, she had felt insecure and jealous of the love he still had for my mother and me. Instead of dealing with those feelings, she had taken her anger out on an innocent child. It did not erase the pain she had caused, but it was the first time she accepted responsibility for her actions. My father made it clear that our family could only continue if respect, honesty, and kindness became part of our home. For the first time in years, I felt a small spark of hope that maybe my life was finally beginning to change. The weeks that followed were not perfect, but they were different. My father spent more time with me than ever before, making sure I never felt alone again. He listened when I spoke, helped me with my homework, and reminded me every day that I was deeply loved. Linda also began to change. She apologized sincerely for the pain she had caused and never expected me to forgive her right away. Instead, she showed her regret through her actions. She spoke to me with kindness, helped me with school projects, and slowly tried to earn back the trust she had broken. Forgiveness did not happen overnight. Some memories were still painful, and there were days when I found it difficult to smile. But my father taught me that forgiving someone does not mean forgetting what happened. It means choosing not to let the pain control your future. Little by little, our house became a home again. The laughter that had disappeared after my mother's death slowly returned. I still missed my mother every single day, and I always would, but I knew she would want me to live with hope instead of anger. Looking back now, I understand that the hardest chapters of our lives do not have to be the final ones. Even after heartbreak, families can heal when truth is spoken, mistakes are accepted, and love is stronger than pride. If you are going through a difficult time today, remember this: your pain does not define